Hi everybody. I wanted to take a couple of brief moments to talk with you about the construction of your resume. Now, a resume is not the only tool for seeking or acquiring a job. It is just one of many possible tools. Yet still, you want to make sure that it looks as professional as it possibly can. So to that end, let me chat with you about a few technical or formatting issues. Let's deal with colors and fonts first. When you're constructing your actual resume, you want to avoid color, especially in the font and font types. And the primary reason for that is that you want to be able to potentially send this resume electronically to those who request it. And you have no idea how it may look on their browser or how they may access other PDFs or files. So try to avoid colors when possible. Also, you want to stick with fonts that are true type fonts. They're easy on the eyes and much simpler, especially as we convert from one form to another. Like, by way of example, if you created the resume on Microsoft Word, but the end user is opening it up in an Apple program, there's not necessarily any way of knowing that they'll be able to view it properly. So avoid some of the script-looking fonts. Avoid some of the sans serif or comic sans serif, or there's a bunch of them that are fun and interesting to look at for maybe bulletin boards, but don't use them for your resume. You want to stick with things like Bookman, Times New Roman, Arial, things that are square and easy on the eyes. The other thing I wanted to chat with you about, students often ask me about an objective, and you do want to include some kind of objective in your resume. It's a lot like a thesis, if you will, but you don't want to spend a long time there. You do want to craft it carefully and choose your words wisely, but 1 to 2 sentences is more than enough. You certainly don't want to spend time narrating an entire story there. It just gives the user a snapshot of who you are and what you want. It's also appropriate to be very specific in an objective. You'll want to, for example, if you're hoping to land someday in a classroom that's preschool students or elementary students, you'll want to state that. Or maybe your interests are in the sciences or maths, you'll want to have that as part of your stated objective. And then as we think about the format of a resume, you'll want to use care, especially if you use a template of that's Microsoft Word or somebody else already has out there that you find on the internet. Templates are certainly appropriate, but let me encourage you to make sure that your items are justified. Tabs and spacing and line sets, bullets need to be uniform throughout so that you don't have, for example, 1/2 inch spacing in one area and 3/4 of an inch spacing in another, or double spacing someplace else. You want to make sure that's correct. It's always best, of course, to make sure you can look down the edge of the left-hand justified area and see that everything is lined up, especially bullets. It's not only a professional look, but it's going to be a cleaner product for your curriculum vitae. Then lastly, I often get questions from students about what work experiences they should include. Now, work experiences are peculiar in that sometimes they don't necessarily fit our stated objective. For example, if you worked at a clothing store as a cashier, it may not necessarily be appropriate for your education goal. However, there are skills that you used and exercised as a retail clothier that may be fitting for where your objective is wanting to go, particularly like in areas of customer service. So as you're thinking about work experiences to include, I wouldn't back out any farther than 10 years, and I would encourage you to go less than that. 5 to 7 is more than enough. You just want to give people an idea of what you've actually done. You also don't need to include every dirty detail of everything you've ever done for a previous employer. 2 or 3 simple ideas of tasks that you worked on or responsibilities that you had is enough to satisfy anyone's curiosity. You can always go in greater detail in the interview. So keep those things in mind as you're building your resume, and I hope you have a great week, guys.